Thank you guys so much for joining me for another episode of Keeping It Real with America's Supermom. I am excited to have my next guest. Jess is here. He and I got connected through LinkedIn, and actually, if I believe it might have been a post about David Meltzer because David was a guest on his podcast as well. So we connected on LinkedIn, and now we are here for an interview. So I'm so excited to connect. And before we get into some great conversation and seeing what other things we might have in common besides podcasting, I want to give Jess the opportunity to introduce himself.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity to be on the show. And I'm Jess Tiffany. I own MNU Digital, which is a full service digital marketing agency, but I wrote an international bestseller on LinkedIn marketing. So that's our main thing is we do a lot of lead generation and other aspects of LinkedIn trainings and all that fun stuff. And then we've also spun off a best-selling author program through starspress.com, which is our other side business. So those are our main things. And I run the Rev It Up with Jess Tiffany podcast focused more on revenue generation. And David Meltzer was one of our guests, and we were happy to have him on the show.
Awesome. So you had me at best-selling, international best-selling book with LinkedIn. And, LinkedIn is like the new hot thing that's happening. A lot of people are just now coming over because of all the different features that they're having. We've got social audio there and newsletters, and the list can go on and on. So, talk to us about, before we get into LinkedIn marketing, just the whole thing of creating a book with that type of content, because for it to be a bestseller, you were actually probably on LinkedIn before it got to be the next hot thing that's around. So talk to us about, how you knew to write a book and what that journey was like.
Yeah, thank you. I have been on LinkedIn for quite a while, but I'd say a few years ago, as I was trying to build my business, I realized that I could get a hold of the right decision makers through LinkedIn directly. I tried Facebook and Twitter and tweeting at people and all that kind of fun stuff.
Mhm.
And I found that I was able to just, find whoever I wanted to on LinkedIn. I could send them a message, and it made it much more simple to find the right people. And over
Mhm.
time developed, a proper profile, optimized it, learned all the ins and outs of LinkedIn. I just got so good at LinkedIn through that process. I didn't mean to be an expert on LinkedIn. It just kind of happened. And so then we wrote a book, and what happened is I planned on writing a book for a couple of years, but I'd start and stop and delete. And finally I remembered I had this software called Dragon Naturally Speaking software, and I loaded it in my computer, and I spent like 2 hours going through tutorials, and I wrote the first like 4,000 words within one day. But because I could talk, and it would just transcribe it on the screen as I went. And so that really opened the door for me to be able to write more books. We'd published a lot of books for other people and for other stuff in the past, but that was the time that I actually took the time to write or speak, as it were, a book into existence. So.
I love that. And so, so talk to us now. A lot of people are kind of joining that LinkedIn bandwagon. What do you foresee is one of the benefits of being on LinkedIn?
LinkedIn is generally one of the first places people will find you online if you're a business person. If they go to Google or they go to LinkedIn, either way. But if you go to Google and type in somebody's name, LinkedIn is usually the first or the second listing on there. So you definitely want to be there if you're in business at any level, so that you have a presence. And then from there, you want to optimize it. You want to build credibility, preeminence if you can. You want to be the go-to expert in your area and really magnify that through your profile so people can find you easily, both on Google and through LinkedIn directly if they want.
I love that because, it is really a great platform. One of the features that someone showed me, it probably has been about 6 months ago, how you can just push a button and build a resume right there on the actual profile. So I thought that was
Yes.
really amazing. So, what are some things? So, when you think about LinkedIn marketing, what are some ways that maybe we have not been getting it right when it comes to LinkedIn marketing? I think a lot of people think, it's a cookie cutter when it comes to building your brand or your credibility. So, what are some things that we're getting wrong on LinkedIn?
Yeah, I would say the big thing that people are really annoyed about is when you try to sell them on the first message you send out. They're like, hey, can we connect? And then as soon as you say yes, it's boom, buy my product, buy my product. Here's my service, and that really turns a lot of people off and kind of gives LinkedIn a sour taste in some people's mouths. And
Mhm.
so it's really a platform to build relationships. It's about finding content you like, people you resonate with. Find people within your target market. Who are your dream clients, your ideal clients, the people you want to do business with, the people you want to hire in the next 5 to 10 years based on your business plan. Find those people, connect, build the network before you need it. So when you're building your
Mhm.
business, you can go and go, okay, who do I know in my network? And those people typically through the feed, if you do consistent content, will kind of know who you are, have a feel for, the type of person you are. And that really opens doors. So it's kind of more of a warm contact at some point versus just a cold contact,
Mhm.
even though you may not know them real well. But they at least, kind of see you. You get that brand repetition, and people get to see you 7 to 10 times, to build that buyer's journey and move you forward in the list there. So.
I love that. So, we both were able to have David Meltzer as a guest. So, talk to us about how you got him as a guest. Where did you come across him?
Yeah, I met David on LinkedIn, and I have over 30,000 connections, and have been able to connect with over 200 influencers on the platform, several billionaires, and a lot of successful CEOs, things like that, over a
Mhm.
course of time. And so that and then of course being an author and all that stuff, but it allowed me to get the opportunity. So when I reached out to him, he was willing to have a conversation with me. And when I reached out to him, I was offering him something of benefit,
Mm.
versus trying to ask for something right away. So I believe I think I tried to help him I heard about an opportunity for a speaker, and I think I told him about it and said, hey, you'd be
Mm.
probably a good person for this. And I believe he ended up speaking at that event. And so that was a nice way for me to reach out, offer something, an olive branch. And then later on, I was able to talk to him about being on my podcast.
I love that. And so, because a lot of people are kind of in this position now. They're on LinkedIn, they've been displaced from certain industries because of the pandemic, or they're trying to do multiple streams of income. So, you mentioned some high profile connections. So, what advice would you give them about building that relationship so that it can be available more, down the road when we're thinking of the long-term situation of building your brand. So what are some key things that we need to remember about that?
The big thing is to start sewing into those people, liking their comment, liking their stuff, commenting, meaningful comments, not just, hey, haha, nice, or great post, actually making conversation within the posts. A lot of times they'll see those more in-depth ones if they're handling social media themselves. Sometimes they have a social media manager or somebody that's running it for them. But if they're actually running it themselves, a lot of times they'll see it. Another little trick that I found is go back in the archives of posts they've done in the past. So
Mhm.
like when they first got on the platform and only like one or two people maybe liked their post from 4 years ago,
Mm.
and you go back and find about 20 of those old posts and start liking and commenting on there, and it'll show in their feed, and it kind of like makes their phone kind of quote blow up, like all these notifications, hey, this person looked at your profile, this person did this person did this, and you can kind of hopefully get seen a few times. And then when you
Mhm.
make your approach, it's a lot easier because they've seen your name, they've seen your profile picture, and then they're like, oh yeah, that guy, he's always following my stuff.
I love that. Now, and so do you actually just pick up the phone and call them, or is it that you're messaging them behind the scenes? What's your approach?
I would say 99% of the time I'm just messaging them on behind the scenes, and
Oh,
then if they don't answer there, then I will. If we do get connected, then I have the access to their email, and then I can send them an email directly as well. Occasionally I'll call them, but I usually don't have to.
I love that. And so, you have done some great things. So you have got your podcast, your book. So talk to us about advice that you would give people who need to leverage some of their relationships or skills because of this pandemic. They are on this profile on LinkedIn as a whole to possibly get in front of a new set of eyes. Maybe they
Yep.
need a new job or things like that. So what advice would you give them about that?
Well, first is you do have to be presentable. So I always talk about pop, and it's kind of be professional. What
Mhm,
opportunity? Always opportunities. What opportunities do you offer to people? And P, what problems do you solve? And if you
mhm,
can kind of incorporate those messaging into your platform, it makes people, when they read your platform or read it, they basically go, "Oh, wow, this is a person that I want to talk to about XYZ, or this might be the right person to solve my problem, or this might be the right person to fill a position in our company." So if you can really make yourself shine, and
mhm,
some of the things you need to do is offline stuff, or I should say maybe off LinkedIn necessarily.
mhm,
And that's, when I first started, I used something called Haro, Help a Reporter Out. It's
mhm,
Haro. And I'd get emails of reporters that wanted people to quote on certain topics. And then I would submit quotes to all those people. And after you got on to 3 or 4 quotes, after a while, you just kind of refer to that, hey, I was on these other magazines here, and I'd like
mhm,
to contribute to this one too. And then you start getting more opportunities and more opportunities, and all of a sudden you're quoted in 15, 20 different magazines. And then that you can reference that in your profile. You can link to those articles within the
mhm,
profile, and all that stuff adds credibility. And then of course then maybe you can jump on a few podcasts talking about how you got quoted in magazines or whatever it is. And then all that stuff adds up, and you're able to add that into your profile and make yourself look more credible. And then when people read your profile, they're like, wow, this person's amazing. Wow, look, they did this, they did that, they won this award for marketing or whatever it is. And if you can build that on the outside of LinkedIn to bring into LinkedIn, it can add a lot of credibility and help you with new opportunities.
I love that because, so many people, they are changing industries and they don't know how to strategize or leverage their positioning. So I love that you bring that up because it really is a long game. It's not something that can happen overnight. I love this quote that someone shared with me the other day. You can't plant a seed and then eat the fruit the next day.
Oh,
So
yeah.
so often that's what a lot of people want with some of these whether it's your profile or something that you're offering, so what advice do you give people about possibly getting a coach or someone? How do they know how to pick the right people, such as yourself with you podcasting, if they want to consider you mentoring them or something along those lines? What do you suggest that they do?
Yeah, absolutely. I think finding people on LinkedIn is a great place to start.
Hmm.
Type in exactly what you're looking for, and then start looking through the profiles and see who fits the bill. Once you're in the profile, then I would recommend looking at the recommendation section
Mm-hmm.
and see who is recommending them to see if those people are very credible people, and also what are they saying about the person that you're looking at. A lot of times that should give you a good feel for if they're the right type of person or the right personality for you. The other thing is you can look at interest and see if they have some of the same, maybe places they donate to, or places they're, civic organizations, things like that. And another little trick is if you look to the right side, it'll say other people with similar, you know,
Mm-hmm.
industries or whatever, and you can kind of see if those people look like credible people too. Then it
Hmm.
kind of reflects positively on your profile as well. Um, so depending on, sometimes we tell people to turn that off if they're already a big kind of influencer. You might want to turn that off because you don't want them going to your competition, obviously. But if you're the person actually searching, it can be a good resource to reflect positively on the person that you're reading about.
Love that. That's some good advice, because we have so many things that we're trying to check off of our to-do list when it comes to posting and commenting and all that. So having a strategy is good. So I know that they say a lot about the fortune being in the follow-up. So talk to us about the type of follow-up that you do for people that you begin to have in your network.
Yeah, absolutely. So we do a lot of follow up directly through LinkedIn. We just send them, occasionally follow up messages, maybe say happy
Mhm.
birthday, congratulations on your new job, different things like that. Um, but another thing, the real success of LinkedIn is getting people off of LinkedIn. And so a lot of times
Mhm.
we'll offer like a free LinkedIn marketing cheat sheet that somebody can download, and they'll
Mm.
basically submit their name and email address, and then we're able to put them into a drip marketing campaign and basically just have emails that go out once a week, once a month, whatever the sequence is that you desire for your type of business. But staying top of mind outside of LinkedIn as well. And then if you want to get really fancy, you can start taking those lists of people, putting it into a spreadsheet, and then do lookalike audiences and similar audiences on Facebook for advertising to get them to even
Mm.
see you more. And then they literally they'll see you on YouTube and Google and Facebook and everywhere else. People will think you live everywhere on the internet.
Love that. That's some good advice. I remember there was one segment I saw Grant Cardone, and he was like, be everywhere,
Mm.
because that just builds your brand. If you're everywhere, why not be everywhere? So
Yeah.
I think that is great advice. So,
Yeah, when you're
what are your
starting out, it might not make sense, but it depends on what you're selling and the price of the
Mhm.
product. You have to justify the cost, but if it makes sense, then a retargeting campaign where you're seen everywhere is very fruitful.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it definitely just has the persona of you're somebody that's really bigger than maybe what your quote unquote small entrepreneurship business is. So I do agree with that. Now,
Yeah,
what are your thoughts
yeah.
on the new audio? Have you been on the audio on LinkedIn?
I was on Clubhouse, but I have not been on LinkedIn Audio yet. I got an invite just the other day, but I haven't had a chance to try it out yet. So I'm excited to
I
check
love
it
it.
out.
It's great. Yeah, they have one tomorrow. I don't know if what you got going on tomorrow, but I think it's only a few people that
Yeah,
have access to it. So, you got to kind of catch it when it's on and it's live. It's not recorded, so it's not like
yeah.
you can go back and listen in. So, yeah. Okay. Now, so what's down the pike for you for it's 2022, you've got a bestseller, you got your podcast. What is it that you see yourself really accomplishing this year?
Yeah, I'm excited. We're going to be coming out with hopefully two new books. Um,
Mm.
One will be more of a quick start guide for new people getting started on LinkedIn, and it's just more of a to get a taste type thing. And then we'll have a full book where we go into details, strategies, B2B, lead generation, all that kind of stuff. So those two books hopefully we'll have coming out. We'll
Mhm.
continue to grow the brand on the podcasting. We're getting some national syndication stuff that's coming out, so that'll be good to boost the brand even more.
Mhm.
And those are kind of the main things that I can think of off the top of my head. So
That's a lot. Hey, I feel good. I got a celebrity. You talking about syndication, so that's awesome. Now, so what are your thoughts on courses on LinkedIn? Because I noticed that we have those as well. I haven't really experienced a lot of them, but what are your thoughts about that?
yeah, I assume you're talking about LinkedIn Learning on
Yeah.
LinkedIn. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, it's a great platform. I think you do have to have a certain membership to get access to that. But yeah, there's a lot of great courses. There's courses on different skill sets. There's if you're into IT, there's a lot of training on different IT professions, marketing, sales, you name it. It's a really great resource. So sometimes you can log into LinkedIn Learning through your library and then not have to pay for it.
Okay. That's good. Yeah, I mean, I just think a lot of people, they're not even aware of sometimes all the tools that they have at their fingertips when it comes to LinkedIn. So I
Yeah.
love that you brought that up too, because I just haven't had time. I've seen it, but I just didn't know kind of what your thoughts were. But I think you can do it for some are short, some are longer, and things like that.
Yep. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And then certain ones, when you complete them, you can actually put them on your LinkedIn profile if you'd like as well.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's another way to build some credibility, saying, I completed the advanced marketers class or whatever it is.
Mhm. Now, so, we talked a little bit about the email, the drip campaign. So, what is a very reasonable campaign that someone should start with? Because I think, a lot of people are trying to build their lists. They kind of are just getting started. We've learned a lot about lists when we have had some of these platforms, quote unquote, crash. And so then it's like, oh my goodness, I don't even have their email, phone number, things like that. So what is a good plan or strategy to start out with your email as you're building your list?
Yeah. The first thing is to figure out something that you can offer that has value, something that
Mhm.
will be beneficial to the people you're reaching out to. And then I would go into LinkedIn. I would do a search for whatever profession it is. I would click a link for a first connection, so it just filters out your actual connections right now.
Mm.
And then just go. It's a manual process, but you can basically go in, maybe send them a message right there and just say, hey, we haven't really chatted before. I thought it might be nice to get to know you a little bit. Something kind of friendly and generic, saying, hey, let's talk, or maybe it makes sense to talk. But then ask them, say, hey, I have this XYZ. I have this free LinkedIn training. I have this free LinkedIn marketing cheat sheet. I have this, free chapter of my
Mhm.
ebook, whatever it is. Would you like a copy of that? And then they say yes or no. And then you say, hey, would you mind if I email it to you? And if I email it to you, is it okay if I, share my newsletter with you as well? And
Mm.
basically, I think it's called the Ask Method. I can't remember the gentleman that wrote the book, but there's a book called the Ask Method.
Mhm.
And it's basically just a very casual, hey, I got this, would you like a copy, can we stay in touch? And then you ask permission, and then they've opted in. Essentially, you send them information, and that's how you can build your list. You can also get their phone number off their profile as well, typically. And
Mhm.
you can say, would you prefer me to text you? And you could also set up SMS or text messages as well if you just so desire.
Love that.
But
Well,
we
this
just doing that with our LinkedIn cheat sheet, we have 4,000 plus people signed up.
that's amazing. Yeah, because I think a lot of people, they don't really recognize the value of email lists. If you're not really doing a lot of
Yeah.
events or certain things where it requires you to have a mass information that you want to get out, a lot of people don't realize the value that it has for, let's say, for example, you have two more books out. So if you've already got your list compiled, it's just doing a blast and letting everybody know that it's out there, right? So,
Yeah, that definitely helps.
now when you're, having a book, this is another thing because we hear a lot of people now transferring a lot of their expertise into a digital ebook or even a physical book. So talk to us about the value of, having a marketing strategy, because I think a lot of people, they get the book done and they're like, "Whoo, that's over with." So the work really begins with marketing. So what are some
Yeah.
things that they could be doing with that?
Yeah, absolutely. So the big thing is you do have to have a strategy. Most authors only sell up to 250 books on average. And
Mhm.
so you're not going to get much bang for your buck. You really need to figure out a distribution model. You need to figure out, typically we tell people to build a pre-launch team where you get 30, 40, 50 people that are kind of backing you and excited about you, excited about your product, and have them start spreading the word, a month to 3 months before the book comes out, kind of telling people, hey, this is coming, get excited, kind of getting things going. And then you want to back that up with marketing, sharing it online. You might want to, some people build what's called a book funnel, where they sell it through marketing strategies, through Facebook advertising and different things. And then there's different campaigns on how to sell a lot of books. Where you discount the price, but you have a massive push and you sell a lot of
Mhm.
books within a certain period of time, so you can make some of these bestseller lists. Like Amazon bestseller is more about timing than actually how many books you sell, whereas USA Today, Wall
Mhm.
Street Journal, New York Times require 10 or 25,000 books in a week to be sold. So there's a big difference between the titles. Most people don't know the difference, but if you can focus on that and grow those by email lists and other ways, it's
Mhm.
definitely a huge thing. The other little tricks is you can come out with a prequel before your book comes out that you give away free on Amazon, and then you basically
Mm.
reference that your next book when it comes out, so people are prepared for it ahead of time. Um, you can put QR codes in the book so that people can scan it and go, buy your training,
Mm.
or they can go buy some other product or service that you're selling. It's really not about the book; it's about the exposure, and then a
Mhm.
lot of times, for if you're a business owner, it's the speaking opportunities that come with the book.
Mhm.
Is because now you can go, hey, Jess Tiffany, for best-selling author. Well, now I have more prestige. I can get more speaking gigs, and people will pay more for a best-selling author versus just a regular author.
Love that. Yeah, and it makes a difference, because a lot of people, they get the book and they don't realize that, hey, these are your talking points. That's your signature talk or
Yeah,
whatever. So,
absolutely.
we're back to having a strategy. That's what it takes. So, that is awesome.
The
Now,
other new
uh-huh.
LinkedIn thing I forgot to mention earlier is the newsletters. I do
Mhm.
recommend get out there and get those if you have access to newsletters
Mhm.
to put those out, because you can actually send a blast out to your entire network. So for me, that's like 30 some thousand people instantly find out I have a newsletter, and they can opt in, and then I can stay in communication with them. So that's just another tip that just popped in my head. I figured I should tell you.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, those newsletters are great. I love them. I mean, I just said, let me just try it out, but it really gets a lot of traction. So, great tip there. Well, this has been wonderful, Jess. I'm so glad that we were able to connect and all from a comment on a post. So, I really want to highlight that too, because so many people think, oh, nobody's going to pay attention or whatever. But, it's just that follow up. So, what is the best way for everybody to get a hold of you? I know we're talking about LinkedIn, but are there any other ways that you want them to connect with you?
Absolutely. Well, I am maxed out on LinkedIn, so you can follow me, but I can't accept too many connections at this point.
Mhm.
But I would go to jesstiffany.com, and then our digital agency is mnudigital.com. So if you need help with marketing, it's mnudigital.com.
Awesome. And then what final thoughts do you want to leave with everybody today?
Yeah. Well, kind of a success story. We just had a new virtual assistant come on board, and I taught her our formula for posting. And I think it was like her 14th post or something. But as of today, it has hit 1,013,000 views on LinkedIn.
That
Now, and that's amazing. And we just taught her, so you do the certain video, you tie the video to this, and you do some certain things, and it went viral on LinkedIn. And the thing is, I've never had a post hit 1 million. I've only had 50,000, 30,000, somewhere in that range. And
Mhm.
but she just used the same formula that I taught her, but the video that she had really resonated with everybody, and it just took off. And so she went from 0 connections to 800 followers within like 2 weeks.
That's amazing.
And so it doesn't matter if you started 15 years ago or whatever it was when I started, or you start tomorrow. There's still huge opportunity on LinkedIn, and just if you can be creative, you optimize your profile, you be professional, you can really have a lot of success.
I love that, because so many people think, I interviewed someone a couple weeks ago and they thought people are so stiff on LinkedIn. I don't know what to post. So what advice would you give them about kind of being in their head about what to post and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, there's a few things. Don't put links in because it kills your posts. Make sure
Mm,
you want to make it relatable to people. Sometimes it's not about if I take two posts and I put one with a cute little puppy dog and a LinkedIn training that somehow tie. I say pause PAWS and
mhm.
look at these LinkedIn training tips versus I just put check out these 7 tips about LinkedIn. This one over here with the puppy dog will get 20,000 views, even though the message is the same as the one that
Mm,
is over here without the puppy dogs, and it only gets 2,000 views.
I
So
see.
sometimes you got to get over the fact, and I struggled with this for a long time because I was like, I want it to be about business. I want it to be perfect, but somebody said, try the puppy dog thing. And I said, okay, fine. And all of a sudden now the same post with the same information, the same teaching points now gets, 10 times, 100 times the views because you had something that was a scroll stopper, something that people look through and they go,
Mm.
oh, cute puppy dog. What's it say? Oh, pause and look at LinkedIn tips. Oh, I need to know more about LinkedIn. And then they took enough time to pause and look at the post. And that's kind of the difference.
Yeah, that's good stuff. And so repurposing, that's another thing. Look,
Yes.
I said we were ending, but this is some you bringing up some good topics. So, what advice about repurposing and how? Because some people they may not have the capability to do LinkedIn Live or something, for
Yeah.
example. So, how would you advise them to kind of maximize their exposure
Yeah.
without it?
Absolutely, yeah. Repurposing is huge. If you can do it, it saves you a ton of time. If you can take the time to say maybe do a 15-minute little interview with somebody, or you're able to do
Mhm.
a 20-minute webinar, you can take that piece and then hand it to somebody that knows how to edit and have them slice it up into 10 different pieces of content that
Mhm.
you can use on different days, and little highlight, make a little highlight reel or little snippets here or there, kind of like the post you saw with David Meltzer was basically just a
Mhm.
picture of I think the cover of my podcast, and then saying featuring David Meltzer on this particular episode. But I could also make that into an audiogram, or
Mhm.
I do video, so I could take little snippets of video and make a little montage, a little montage video of that. But you can take that same, piece of content and split it up 15 different ways. And that's the same thing with, writing a book. I can take quotes from my own book and then, put a
Mhm.
pretty background on it or something and say, um, you know, I can't think of a quote off the top of my head, but you can basically use that to make another post, and then you can take that same quote and have it with the audio and a video and make a different post. And so there's all kinds of different things you can do to mix and match and make new content out of old content.
Love that. Yeah, this has been great. Well, I really appreciate your time, and I'm glad we got connected. And please come back after you get your other books out. We would love to be in the know of what you've got going on when it comes to them coming out.
I would appreciate that. Thank you so much.
You are so welcome. Well, we want to thank all of you guys for watching today. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to put them in the comment section. But in the meantime, follow Jess. Follow him on LinkedIn. Reach out to him. I'm telling you, it's easy. Just connect on his post. You've heard the advice that he has given us, or just follow him on his website. So we want to thank you guys all for watching. And if something resonated in this video, share it. Share it with someone who might be able to glean from that uh, great information when it comes to networking, marketing, strategy. We've covered a lot of things here on this episode. So we thank you all so much for watching, and we will see you on the next episode. Bye for now.